Hey guys, it's Sam. I just pulled the front air strut out of my w211 e500 04 Mercedes 4matic all-wheel drive. I wanted to share with you guys what was involved in that. Basically, here's the strut. The first thing you do is there is 3 nuts on top. You unhook a little connector there. It's got a little button there you push on the top. You unhook your airline with a 10mm. This is kind of tricky on the airline. I talked about this on other videos. You can't get straight on it. You're gonna have to go at it like that from the back side, and if it's too hard to turn with your hand, take let me get these. Take some needle nose like this, and then turn the 10mm the normal way, left to loosen. So you start with this guy here with a washer is in this front one. Then the other 2 are here with this little thing on them, cross. And these are 1/2 inch. Yeah, 1/2 inch. Let me check here. Yeah, they're 1/2 inch. Again, this is 10mm, these are 1/2 inch. And then you want to take the fender liner out, and to do that you've got a bunch of these little guys. These are all 10mm. You should have 2, 4, 6, 8. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8 of those. And then you've got 2 of these guys. These are 8mm. They're right here and here, I believe. And then another one of them up here, under here somewhere, I believe. Then 3 of these guys that you pull out, and 2 of them are on the front here, and one of them is easy to miss. It's in this area here. I'll show you on the liner where it is. Here. It's this bottom one. So the liner sits like this in the car. Let me set it up for you. Sits kind of like that in the car. And it's right there at the bottom. So you take your liner out. So you got the top undone, you take your liner out. Then the next thing is getting this unhooked. That goes to there. It's kind of heavy, so I can't do it myself right now by hand, but and the way you get that loose is, I found this tool at Harbor Freight that did the trick. This is what you want. There's your item number and everything. And what you do is you put this guy in like this, so he's going to be right here. Sorry, you put this guy in like that, okay? So he's going to be right there, and then it's going to be pushing this nut up. Sorry, and let me show you how. One more thing I gotta grab here, guys. Hold on. Okay, so this is the way the tool looks. It has a bolt that goes in it, and it's gonna sit here like that, and it presses that bolt up back through this hole. And what I did is I had the nut just on the end here, like you see it, partially on. and that way you're not tearing up the threads. So when you're using this tool, have your nut on there so you don't trash it. And then when it breaks loose, it's going to pop, but the nut will catch it. So have the nut about almost all the way on. And then you got to unbolt this bad boy, this bottom nut and bolt that go through the bottom here. And that's kind of fun. The way I pulled that off was with this setup I'm going to show you right here. This is what I had. These are 13/16 on both ends. And this one was in like this without these here, let's see, something like that, and it was just kind of wedged up against there, and then I used the breaker bar to break it loose, and it fought me, but it finally came loose, guys. That was kind of rough, but I got it loose. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else you really need to know to get this done. Oh yeah, once this comes loose here, obviously this whole part of the suspension now will wiggle on you and it'll drop down. So you might need a second jack to put underneath it, because when you try to put your ratchet on this end, because this bolt's right here, right? When you try to put your ratchet on there, sometimes the sway bar gets in the way, or over here, this other part of the suspension gets in the way here. So you may have to use a jack and kind of wiggle stuff around to where you can get both of these on like that, and then get it loose. I took it apart because the airbag has a leak in it. I'm either going to replace it or send it off to get it rebuilt. I'm not sure yet which one I'm going to do. Also, the other thing you need to do is there's a line at the bottom of this thing you unhook, and that comes along. It starts down in this area and it snaps in here and here, and then it sits on the back side of this connection junction here, and you unhook this thing from one end of it, and then you're still going to be stuck on here. And the way you get off of here, let me show you on the connector itself. You're going to see it from this end, and you can see it has a little hook thing. And what you're going to do from the outside, let me find something here to do this with. From the outside of it, so from the front of the connector, you just wiggle a little needle nose in there and just pop that up a little bit, and then slide it back, and it'll slide off. It'll slide off of that kind of junction that it's connected to, and that way you won't break it. So again, you just go from the face of it and just wedge something in there and push, and it'll pop out. What else do you need to know? Okay. Getting this thing out once you have it loose is difficult, because it wants to fight you every bit of the way. So here's what I found was the easiest way I got it out. And you may find your experience may differ, but here's what worked for me. I unhooked the brake line here that was connected on this end here. I unhooked these two smaller lines to get them out of the way, here and here, so that everything was out of the way. And then I brought the fork that was coming down as far this way as I could, up against this brake line. Okay? And that way I had as much play at the top as I could get, because this thing is tough to work with. So once I had as much play as I could at the top, I pulled down and compressed it, and I kind of wedged some something I had in there. I think this bar from the jack or something. I wedged in there, and I managed to pull the shock. I managed to get this to the side and pull the top of the shock forward and out. So I went around this end, because this right end is the higher end. So I worked around this end of the shock, Then I had the top of the shock up in here. So once I had the top of the shock free and the bottom of the shock was still around the axle and everything, then I reached to the top of the shock with my hands, both hands, and I pulled down on the top of the shock. Here, let me try to show you guys. So I reached around the top with two hands, one on each side, and I'm holding the camera with one hand. I pulled it down. When I pulled it down, I had a friend of mine tie a wire around the bottom end here. It doesn't really matter what side. Once you guys are in there and doing this, it'll make more sense to you. But I tied a wire around the bottom, and then I tied another one around the top, just around one of these screws, while it was fully compressed, and that kept it tight. So once it was tight and compressed, then I was able to lift it up some and slide the bottom up, and that allowed me to drop the top down below the fender. So you start with the bottom on this end to get the top out, and then once you get the top free up here and your top of your shock is in this area, then you can slide the bottom up this axle and you can bring the top out. So that's how I did it, guys. Wasn't too tough. I'd say I got about an hour into it. So I don't know. Good luck, guys. If you have to do this, it is definitely doable. You can do it. Don't let the dealer charge you thousands of dollars. All right, take care, guys. Bye.